Isn't it true that users of the dark side could never transfer their spirit into the living force? If so, how come we have moments like this one here?
Why do you come to my tomb?
Where we clearly see an apparition of them in the afterlife. Well, today I'll be explaining what Sith spirits are and how they could become tied to places, objects, or ideas, as well as what the differences between them and Force ghosts were. Don't worry, Darth Bane will be included in this video, as well as how Darth Vader was able to become a Force ghost. Hint, hint, he wasn't.
What are you implying?
Anakin.
Going off of the Legends article from Wikipedia on Force ghosts, basically when it comes to the Sith, occasionally their bodies would fade as Jedi would, though like Jedi, this was not a prerequisite for becoming a Force ghost. It was not uncommon for the spirits of Sith Lords to remain bound to the living world through an object, location, or simply due to the force of their malice and hatred. Unlike the Jedi, however, the Sith found a little peace in this form, instead existing for restless centuries, eventually driven insane by solitude, memories, or dark side inflicted madness. In many ways, these techniques differed from those taught by the Jedi, the most distinct difference being the user's limited ability to interact with his surroundings. One proficient Sith user of these techniques was Exar Kun. Notable Sith such as Darth Andedu and Darth Bane feared their own mortality rather than embracing it and became ghosts of the Force such as their Jedi counterparts. Due to this fact, they sought ways to escape death and live on indefinitely. Though there was much speculation, Bane's body did not disappear and became one with the Force when he died. His soul was absorbed into his apprentice's body and dominated by her soul, leaving behind only a trace of his soul, only sufficient to trouble her hand on occasion. In this case and in many others, the Sith lived on only in the small essences of their souls that they embedded into their Sith holocrons, whereas the many Jedi who believed that there was no death, only the Force, lived on forever. Through the acceptance of their death, the Sith believed that the Force would free them and break their chains that bound them to their mortal self. Ergast, a lord of the old Sith Empire, discovered a technique called the Force Walk that allowed a Sith to bind a Force ghost to themselves, allowing them to harness the ghost's Force presence as a source of energy for their own powers. During the Cold War, Ergast's own ghost taught the technique to the renegade Sith Inquisitor Lord Calig, who sought a weapon under Darth Thanaton under the direction of their ancestor, the ghost of Lord Aloysius Calig. The younger Calig went on to bind a total of 4 ghosts, including Ergast himself. Now moving over to Force Phantoms, also called Sith Phantasms, were the product of an elaborate Sith ritual that allowed a Darksider to create lifelike apparitions from the siphoned Force energy of another life form, irrespective of sentience, and project them across the expanse of the cosmos, an ability that required considerable mental reserve and strength of will. Force Phantoms manifested in the physical realm and served whatever inclinations that their creator desired. Their insidious nature was only revealed when they were destroyed, at which time the being or creature to which the phantom was anchored also perished. The power was developed and perfected by the Dark Lord Darth Vectivus, and much later by 40 ABY, the technique had been thought lost among modern Sith. On the contrary, the rituals for conjuring Force Phantoms had been discovered and mastered by the Sith Lady Lumaya and later the Twi'lek Dark Jedi Alima Rar, both of whom brought them to bear heavily during the Second Galactic Civil War. The secret of their creation was coveted by several beings during that same time, but none so highly as the members of the mysterious One Sith Order, which, rather than allow access to such power to fall into the hands of the Jedi Knights, destroyed the former asteroid home of Darth Vectivus, which was also the source from where the last known practitioners harnessed the dark side of the creation of Force Phantoms. A Force Phantom was similar to the advanced Jedi technique known as Doppelganger, being that it was an astral projection of a being created through use of the Force. Through ancient Moving on to some more canonized things, through ancient dark side masks, both Darth Momin and Exum Panchard were able to preserve their consciences far beyond their natural death. Presence was a Sith known to retain a facet of her presence in the holocron once belonging to her. In the Imperial era, she spoke to Ezra Bridger this way multiple times. Grandmaster Yoda encountered the specter of Darth Bane during the Clone Wars, which is probably something that you remember from that Season 6 arc right at the end of the show. And during the war in 19 BBY, that being the Clone Wars, Jedi Grandmaster Yoda ventured to Moraband on a journey to discover the secrets of immortality. Which kind of makes you wonder about the pride of the Jedi overall, in accordance with Yoda here and his actions. But he entered Bane's tomb and encountered a Fury vision of the ancient Dark Lord, that being Darth Bane. As part of Yoda's trial to learn the power of immortality, the apparition attempted to convince the Jedi Master to turn to the dark side. Yoda refused, remarking that Bane was dead and that what appeared before him was simply an illusion that had nothing to offer. Yoda's defiance banished the screaming specter back into the sarcophagus while Yoda continued on his journey. The Jedi Master's travel to Moraband was eventually mentioned in a set of hand-drawn maps that were believed to be created by the Ithorian artist Gamut Chond, along with an illustration of Darth Bane's fiery specter. The maps were later restored and collected to the Graph Archive on the moon Orcus II at some point no earlier than 34 ABY. And when it comes to Darth Vader, this state was temporary, as Force ghosts were an intermediate state between life and afterlife, and after a certain amount of time, they would then have to move on to the netherworld of the Force, another realm of existence. Darth Vader learned of this ability through Darth Sidious, and upon his death, the spirits of Kenobi and Yoda completed his training by granting him the last step in becoming a spirit. Anakin's spirit appeared as that of his younger self, prior to his fall to the dark side. But anyway, that's it for this video. You can subscribe if you want to. I upload multiple videos every week, always on Friday, and I upload multiple shorts every week, always on Saturday. And yeah, I also do live streams, and yeah, you can join if you want to, but it does cost money, so like, why would you do that? But yeah, see ya.